ocean. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Still very close to my heart. So welcome. You have 20 minutes, 5 minutes for questions, and the floor is yours.
All the organisers for a fantastic event, really, really good. It's great to be back in person at IMDIS, and my name is Eoin O'Grady from the Irish Marine Institute, and I will present on some of the work that we're doing over the past several years on the Digital Ocean Programme, and more particularly how that supports the work in developing digital twins. And digital twins will be very important for sustainable development of our marine sector. So to start with, we all know there is a growing level of activity in our marine spaces. In Ireland, we have a huge push towards offshore renewable energies. There's also significant change in our climate and a need for enhanced access to information across many marine sectors. Relevant and timely information is going to be critical for sustainable management, development and adaptation, and in particular to help our stakeholders, policymakers and the general public to understand what is happening and to make good decisions that affect our marine. And digital capabilities are going to be key to this, especially tools such as digital twins can really help communicate and present our information and outputs to these key stakeholders. If there could be two different taglines for this one presentation, they would be repurposing the wheel, not reinventing. And thank you, Tara, for that one. And also bringing it all together. So repurposing the wheel is really about building on the foundations that we already have in place. There's been a huge amount of work over the past 10 to 20 years in data integration and interoperability, not least by CDataNet, Eurogoose and many others. So we're building on very solid foundations. But bringing it together can sometimes be the harder part, and that really is where the challenge is. And there are two very important programs at the moment that are bringing it together, the two decades, the UN Decade of Ocean Science, the science we need for the oceans we want, and the European Union's Digital Decade. And these two decades are bringing together activities which will help with our digital transformation. The implementing actions will help to transform not only how we do marine science, but importantly, how we communicate it to key stakeholders and how we present that information in a usable way. Our digital journey will enable the science we need for the oceans we want. And in the Marine Institute, we are working across many of these areas, leading a transition in national digital services to support sustainable oceans development. So we're taking a very strategic approach in the Marine Institute, and particularly with our Digital Ocean Programme. While evolving digital services will include developing digital twin capabilities, they will be developed on existing services and capabilities such as integrated data services with quality management. And quality management is going to be absolutely critical. Can we trust the information that we're presenting? Analytical tools and capabilities are developing at a rapid pace. We see many posters showcasing the new capabilities, cloud services, etc., artificial intelligence, new visualization capabilities. So how can we adapt these and make them integrated into our systems and services? And then looking at targeted service delivery for specific use cases, and this is really critical. How do we deliver specific services that matter, that are relevant, that are usable by key stakeholders? Our strategic vision is that digital twins of the ocean will make marine knowledge readily available to policymakers, businesses, scientists and citizens. And more broadly, that our digital transition will transform how we operate, how we engage with our stakeholders, and how we deliver our services across a wide range of marine sectors, ocean renewable energy, marine transport, climate adaptation, etc. So, like I say, we are building on capabilities that have been developed over many years. So we started our Digital Ocean Programme roughly 7-8 years ago, and it was with an aim to integrate very diverse data sources and add value to the work that we do. And this is echoed at a European level, but it's very important nationally to do this. We have made very significant progress over the past 8 years. We've integrated quite a number of data partners into a digital ecosystem. We've applied trusted quality assurance to many of these data processes, and we're adding analytical capabilities on top. And this is really important because this is where we can suddenly add a lot of value for a lot of different use cases. So we're looking at the areas of smart ports, for example, climate adaptation, marine spatial planning, fisheries management, and so on. And it's at this level that we can suddenly add our expertise, our knowledge, to provide the services that can inform policymakers. So you might be more familiar with this particular diagram where we are connecting in situ observations from many different sources, be it fixed platforms or mobile, from ships, gliders, autonomous devices, etc. We're adding in modeling capabilities, so allowing us to predict ahead or to look at what happened previously. And we're adding in remote sensing capabilities, which is growing every year. So more and more data sources, more and more cross-disciplinary I suppose, feeds that we can connect in and add to our decision support. And that's really important. We can make these available in an easier to use manner by expert users, scientists, domain experts, and so on. And then adding our digital capabilities to deliver this information and data to our key stakeholders across many different marine areas. And this is where digital twins in particular will help. It will connect data, expert input, digital delivery of our information, and we'll connect it and make it usable for those stakeholders. So I suppose that is probably the key for our push towards developing digital twin capabilities. A key challenge for us traditionally has been to bridge the science user divide, to move outside of our traditional client base, our user base, technical scientists, engineers, and so on, and make the information that we all know is really important available to a much broader set of users, be it the general public, be it policymakers, be it marine managers. So digital twins will help to bridge that user science gap. It will provide more interactive information in a visual way. It will present information in a real-world, understandable way to these users. And it will combine data from multiple sources and disciplines in a much more coherent and easy-to-use manner. And it supports scenario modeling, which I think is going to be increasingly important as we look ahead at what might happen, what will happen. So bringing it all together, the second tagline, this is possibly the key challenge. Traditionally, we've operated in disciplinary, I suppose, bubbles or communities, but more and more that we're integrating across communities. We're providing integrated data, integrated information, and integrated advice. And that needs to start with the end user. So bringing end users into the conversation early. We hear about co-creation regularly, and it is really important. The earlier we can talk to our end users, the better the results, the better the outcome. We all know we have a lot of marine science and marine domain expertise, but how do we convert that into usable information? So including the marine scientists, the domain experts early in the conversation, also really important. And this community in particular has been developing integrated, trusted data services, combining data from many, many different locations, disciplines, and so on, and platforms across Europe and wider afield, and making it available. So huge progress in that area over the past 10 years. But now we have an opportunity with the digital decade, the digital transformation that is happening right across our communities. How do we apply these new digital tools, capabilities, and services to our marine science information? And that's the challenge, bringing these four parts together to provide usable information that's relevant to our key stakeholders. And like I say, this is building on what we've done over many years, so it's not reinventing the wheel, it's repurposing. So here we have many existing services that we're providing from the Marine Institute nationally, looking at marine planning, seabed data, looking at more interactive observation through Ireland's digital ocean services, looking at the renewable energy space and providing information for that community. And increasingly, we're adding smarts or intelligence into these services, looking at licensing decision support, for example, harmful algal bloom predictions, and looking at providing statistical information in more usable ways through digital stockbook, for example. So marine data is coming from many, many different sources, and you're all very familiar with this, but it is underpinning our digital transformation and our digital services, and every digital twin will need to build on these building blocks. In Ireland, we have 700 plus data sets integrated from more than 30 different national partners. Standards and interoperability, as you know, are absolutely key to this, and it's building on a lot of very, I suppose, well-embedded work from CDATNet, EMODNet, the work of BODC on the vocabularies, EMSO, ICES, and many, many others. And increasingly, we are seeing integrated access to data. So Conor was presenting on the EMODNet central portal, and this is really important. No longer do we have to go to multiple locations to get data. We can go to one location. So these new capabilities and this interoperability will support implementation of national programs such as marine spatial planning, DCF, MSFD, aquaculture development, and so on. And the second, I suppose, key point, and this is maybe again something that everybody is very familiar with, but is becoming increasingly important, building on data that you can trust. So if we are to provide policymakers with decision support systems, they need to be able to trust the information they're being provided with. So how do we provide that trust? Quality assurance is a key part of this, and that is going to become increasingly important. In the Marine Institute, we've applied the data management, quality management framework, which is based on the IOD quality management framework, to over 120 different processes. So we have process maps from where data was acquired through to when it's being used. And this provides the assurance that end users need. They want you to be very transparent. They want to be able to trust the data that you're providing. And building a trusted evidence base requires marine science expertise, marine domain expertise. So bringing together the data experts, the science experts, and the digital experts is going to be key. So looking at the data value map, and this is, I suppose, a standard way that we look at our processes. So we have two people, one on the left and one on the right. On the left, we have the person acquiring the data, and on the right we have the data user. And the closer you can get these two people, and the better they can communicate together or understand each other, the better the end result. So if the data creator understands why the data users will want their data, they'll understand how to acquire it better, how to process it better, and so on. And if the data user understands where the data came from and how it was processed, they'll trust it. And they can use it for decision support. They'll have much more responsive and efficient access to information. So an example of where we've applied this is for marine spatial planning in Ireland, developing the National Marine Planning Framework with the Department of Housing Planning and Local Government. Data from more than 30 different partners and sources was integrated, quality assured, and made available. This was integrated into the first Marine Spatial Plan for Ireland, the National Marine Planning Framework, and was published digitally. So it's available online digitally through Ireland's Marine Atlas and through marineplan.ie. It's an accessible and authoritative source of marine data for Ireland. And this is important because while we're looking at repurposing and reusing, this evidence base can underpin many other uses in the future. So the second key pillar in our Digital Ocean program was enhanced visualization and analysis tools. We've developed a toolbox, effectively, of these tools which can be applied to various different user needs and services. Real-time MetOcean is integrated, interactive seabed viewers, numerical models can be presented online, streaming data can be interpreted, automated analysis and processing services, and interactive augmented reality. So this makes data much more real to the end user. It shows data in ways that users expect to see it. People using Google Earth every day or Google Maps will want to see interactive 3D visualizations. And here we see data from the Infomar Seabed Survey in Galway Bay using WebGL. Also on the bottom, we have a shipwreck again from Infomar, which is using SketchUp and based on the same data set. Top right, we have model data again for Galway Bay, and they're all in the same area. Bottom right, we have augmented reality, and this is very impactful for communications and outreach. So these tools can be adapted and reused, and while we're developing each of our new services, we can reach into our toolkit and make use of existing capabilities. Here we see the flow of water through the Aran Islands superimposed over Infomar very high resolution bathymetry. Here we see Argo floats in the Atlantic from Newfoundland across to the Porcupine Basin. And these data are integrated into one central portal. So a user doesn't have to know where to go, they can just go here. Like I say, this is a toolkit. It is adapted for different use cases like ocean renewable energy. The Ireland's ocean energy portal uses services from DigitalOcean and so on. And this is integrating data from many different sources. Here we see high resolution Infomar bathymetry. Here we see real-time tide gauge information from the Marine Institute. There's augmented information from OPW, from CIL, and from other sources also. And moving into the newer tool sets and the capabilities that are coming, we have new GIS spatial services which can be adapted and bring some of these capabilities, which in the past have been point solutions, to a more integrated set of services. And this is really important. So here we see the port in Galway, which is a relatively modest port, but it's a real-world view of that. There's also a digital view with sea surface temperature superimposed. And this allows us to start analyzing using spatial services, our oceanographic data, our habitat data, various ecosystem data sets, which can be combined together and presented online to key stakeholders. Here we see a new version or prototype of Ireland's Marine Atlas using the Teria map software. And again, it's developing a service which existed for several years using traditional GIS, but this is moving into 3D interactive online visualization. And it makes a difference because people can relate to what they're seeing. It also connects into many different data sources, and like I say, we don't need to connect to multiple eModNet catalogs anymore. One is sufficient. But these capabilities are allowing us to integrate our data, and this is really important. It's moving beyond simple visualization to GIS spatial analytics. So the Marine Atlas in particular is developing over the next 3 to 6 months, and it will be an important national reference service for marine information in Ireland. It will underpin a lot of the development work that we're doing at the moment, particularly around the offshore renewable energy space. We can integrate 3D data modeling and seabed capabilities, and it's going to evolve our digital twin capabilities. It'll be part of our toolkits that we can use elsewhere. So why add digital twin capabilities? Improved understanding and evidence-based decision-making. For example, for our aquaculture licensing decision support tool, the users want to do the spatial analysis, but in a user interface that can be shared across their department. They want to add real-world visualization, they want to add high-resolution bathymetry, and they want to add model data. So we can do this with our new toolkits. And there are many different use cases that we can apply this to. Marine planning and licensing, for example, marine transport and ports, many different studies looking at potential for digital twins, ocean renewable energy, fisheries and ecosystem, and so on. It's going to be extremely important for climate adaptation also. We have a program which looks at developing the services on an operational basis, so it's really important that we're building in that operational resilience, robustness. Cybersecurity is built in. We've a robust platform. We're integrating research activity and developing our digital skills. And applying this to marine programs, that's the key. This is where we connect with our end users. So we're working in many different programs in the Marine Institute, from ORE through to marine planning, fisheries management. We're looking at aquaculture licensing, particularly climate adaptation, maritime and ports, and food safety. So many different use cases that we'll be using and building on the same capabilities. But it does rely on us bringing the various parts together. And absolutely key that we get the end users talking early with the scientists and with the data experts. And that really is the key. It's bringing it all together and building on what we have. So to finish, repurposing the wheel, we're not reinventing, we're building on what we've already, the capabilities we've developed, and we're evolving these. But bringing it together is really important. The new digital twin capabilities are going to play a key part in the transformation of our services and how we deliver for national programs. We're building on trusted, integrated data. We're building on advanced visualizations and modeling, and existing data partnerships with user-focused services. We believe that digital twins of the ocean will help to make marine knowledge more readily available to non-technical users, and they are absolutely key for the sustainable development and management of our marine spaces. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is this on? Yes. Thank you very much, Eoin. Right on time. Of course, we take questions from the audience, as usual. Any questions? There you go. Yes.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, really, and the work that is behind it. I was wondering, you are talking a lot about data integration. Is this integration done through the services, or are you also harmonizing the metadata, or are you working to harmonize the data to let's say, speed up this integration for your services?
I think it's not just one approach. It's a mix of approaches where we do harmonize some data for certain organizations. We integrate and federate, to use the word that's possibly overused, federate data from multiple partners using services like ERDAP and so on, GeoNetwork, etc. So there is a mix of federation, harmonization, and central hosting and services as well. So it's a mix, but it's using standards that have been developed by this community, and that's probably the key. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant presentation. I really like, especially the visionary part. What I want to ask you, let's say, I see you also, you went in the 3D visualization with the cesium, which is of course the new engine, let's say there's a new one. But are you also going into gamification, let's say using Unity and these kind of things? Is that something planned?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just chatting with Peter earlier. We've used Unity in the past for augmented visualization using Microsoft's HoloLens devices, and also for online interactive modeling data. But we did find that technically there's quite a high overhead with Unity, but maybe that has now changed. It's certainly something we'll re-look at, and certainly have a chat with yourself and Peter.
Because especially for decision processes, it's really people play the game as it was in the real world.
Yeah. I will say the augmented reality has a huge impact on for outreach and communications. Really impactful to be able to walk around a shipwreck, touch it, see it pop up, get information on what's happening. It's really powerful. Yeah.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. My question is on interoperability efforts with other digital twins nationally and then internationally. What is going on?
So yeah, nationally, Met-Éireann are leading the Destination Earth working group. So we're connected in with that user working group. So there are regular discussions, and there was a really good workshop in November on bringing together the various partners. So there are discussions on use cases, etc. nationally. And internationally, we're connected into the Ditto program, and keeping an eye certainly on the Iliad program as well, which is making great strides in the area. So we're watching the space, but we're developing organically at the moment.
There is a new group in RDA for digital twins and for landscaping all the coordination efforts and the digital twins projects that are being developed in Europe and internationally. So it would be a pleasure to join the group. So if you go to the RDA page, of course you too, it would be great to have more people to connect in order to create interoperability.
Super, yeah, sounds great, thanks.
Yes, then I can just add that we also have this interoperability working group under Ditto, and we meet once a month to just chat about digital twin interoperability. But more questions we have. I think we have room for one more question. If not, then I can ask my question. So since you're catering to so many stakeholders and probably different user interfaces accordingly, what does that mean for your data management? Do you have different data management, or do you really have one underlying data platform that can cater to all of these?
Yeah, I think that's probably a key thing, to have one underlying platform with multiple interfaces. Excuse me. So we have a spatial interface, we have real-time interfaces, and so on. But it is a singular set of services that are reused for different users and use cases. Absolutely, it would be very difficult to maintain it otherwise.
That's right, but you don't need any conversion in between to cater to the different dashboards, Unity, whatever.
There may be some custom work, but in general, it's the same platform. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.